Hello everybody, it's Julia here from the Highly Sensitive Tarot and I'm back today with the second of my sort of New Year videos, and I recently just put out my 10 most neglected decks of 2023, and in that video I talked a little bit about my deck collecting and my feelings about the last year, and how I'd like to see things go in 2024, really, because in 2023 I bought a lot of decks, and a lot of decks were bought for me and given to me, and my collection grew hugely. And at times this brought a little bit of shame, and at times this brought a little bit of judgment. At times I allowed myself to become influenced by other people's opinions about deck collecting and whatnot. And I've really, introspected and thought a lot about it. And I know in 2024 I need to rein in some of my deck spending habits anyway, because I think that, I'm going to have a new home. And we all know how much it costs to make a new home really feel like a home. I'll be decorating, I'll have new flooring, maybe some new furniture, new bits and pieces. I'll have a new garden that I can get stuck in with. So there'll be lots and lots of other distractions next year for me to invest my time and my money in. And I've got currently on my shelf, I think I've got about 9 decks waiting for me to get to them. And from my neglected tarot decks video, there's maybe about 3 decks from that video that I plan to get to. So I've got loads to keep me going, and I'm really happy about that. I've made my peace with my deck collecting, and I've made my peace with all of it. So that's a really nice place to be in, to go forward into 2024. So I also said in my last video that I'm going to do a giveaway in January at some point of the Enchanted Soul tarot deck. I know for sure it's one that I've not gelled or bonded with, but I know a lot of people like it, so I thought I'd do that as like a giveaway on my channel. So look out for a little video announcing that. And the video today is my 10 most used decks of 2023, the ones that have just appeared again and again and again, that I've enjoyed the most, that resonate, that are intuitive, that I read for myself and for others with. Just the ones that have made the most appearances, and I looked back through my journal, and these are definitely the 10 decks that have made the most appearances in my private life and on my channel. So, and the first one is this beautiful 3 Trees Tarot, the Oak, Ash and Thorn, which I don't have a single negative word to say about this deck. I love everything about it. I love the beautiful white backs, the white sides of it, the softness of the cards. I love this little tuck box. It's just, oh, I just love it. It's so earthy and so grounded and so gentle, and it just reads so intuitively. It reads like a dream. I first saw this deck, I think, on Nova's channel, Nova Luna Tarot, and I fell in love with it. This is one of the few indie decks that I've got. I think at this point I might have 5 indie decks out of my collection of over 100 decks. I would imagine at some point I will buy the Oracle. I think, is it the Thistledown Oracle that's very similar to this? But I wasn't so keen on the On the dragon one, this is it Smoke, Ash and Embers? That one didn't appeal quite so much. But oh, just look at it. It is everything that is good. I think that's all I have to say about it. It is everything that is good. Just gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. I would be devastated if anything happened to that deck. Oops. Like me bending one of the cards while I'm trying to put it back in its box. Gorgeous. So there's that one. Now I've got quite a few decks in these horrible little foil bags, but that's only because they're stored in crates and boxes at the moment. I don't have the big boxes for them anymore, and I'm just not a big fan of tarot bags. I'm quite funny about fabrics. Certain fabrics I can't touch. I don't like them, so I bought a load of these cheap little foil bags just to keep my decks safe while they're in boxes and things. So like I said, I don't have the big box for this anymore. And this is the Forest of Enchantment. And I'm sorry, for most of these decks I haven't pulled out the guidebooks either, but you'll all know these decks. So this is the Forest of Enchantment, and again, this was a gift, and for my birthday, and it is one that had been on my wish list for quite a long time, but for some reason or another I just hadn't sort of got round to buying, and it was bought for me, and I fell in love with it. It is absolutely beautiful, and again, it reads like a dream. I worked with this for a month, solidly, did lots and lots of readings with it, asked it lots and lots of questions, and it was intuitive and relatable and friendly and just gorgeous. I love it. It's a beautiful deck. I can't see myself being without this deck at all. It will you'll certainly be seeing it often on my channel, I'm sure. The next deck I've got, which is in another little foil bag, because I have no idea where the box went. I've had this deck for so many years. This is actually one of the original decks that I started my channel with, out of the original sort of dozen or so that I had. As you can see, it's quite bent. It doesn't seem to sit straight anymore. The corners go up quite a bit on it. You can see. I edged it in black, and it's the Osho Zen deck. I've got the guidebook for it, and this was a revelation for me years ago when I bought it, because I'd learnt tarot with the WRS, the WRS. So this is my autism brain coming in here. The RWS deck I had learnt with many years ago, and this is quite a departure from that, isn't it? You know, this is based on Zen Buddhism, and it, you know, when you read the guidebook, it really reads very differently. You know, the interpretations are quite unique, but I just love it in every possible way. I think this is a great deck as an oracle deck. It's a great deck to read with, to study, to meditate over, to use as art inspiration. I mean, I absolutely love it. I've got some real favourite cards in this deck. And it's very intuitive. You don't need to use the guidebook at all to read with this deck. You don't even really, I don't think, have to know how to read tarot properly to use this deck. I just think it's just very intuitive. I mean, look at this card, for instance, the Eight of Swords. You know, normally this is not an image that we would see on other cards, is it? But it really does represent that energy, that of that miserable sort of like gnawing of not being happy with yourself, not being happy with your thought processes, of just being tormented. So yeah, I absolutely love that deck. That is just a genius deck. And I've recently bought the Tarot of the She, is it? I think by the same creator, of which I cannot remember her name. And I've also actually just yesterday I found secondhand on eBay and I ordered the Tao Oracle. Is it? I don't know. It's the Tao or the Tao. The Oracle by the same creator also. So I will have all three of their decks soon. So I'm really quite excited about that. The next deck I've got here, I'll show you all the ones in the bags first, because they're all decks that I've lost the boxes for. Most of them are just because they're so old. This one you will have seen me use, I think, probably quite a lot in my collective readings here on YouTube, and I use this quite a lot for myself and always have done. I don't have any other decks or books or anything by Sonia Croquette, but I just seem to absolutely love this one. This is copyright 2006, and I've definitely had it that long. And it is the Soul Lessons and Soul Purpose Oracle cards. And she just speaks so much wisdom in these cards. You know, the cards themselves are nothing to shout about. You know, they're quite plain cards, really. You know, there's not a huge amount for your intuition to grasp hold of, particularly. You know, I still, after all of these years, use the guidebook with this, but she just speaks so much wisdom. There's just so much that always resonates for me. These are just cards of good advice. You know, if ever you're just not sure what to do, these are just cards of good advice. And I don't know whether they're out of print. I haven't actually looked recently, but I know there's lots and lots of copies of them around secondhand. I don't actually know if they're out of print at the moment, but just lots and lots of very, very good advice. So I just can't recommend that deck enough, really, as an oracle deck. It's a really good deck to get out at the end of a reading, just to like give some final advice, you know. So there's that one. The next deck here is the Pensive Path Tarot, which by Reese Marin, which is one of my other indie decks. This is copyright 2022. I edged this in this sort of antique-y sort of bronze, just to go with the, which look, you can see I did so badly here. Got it onto the back of the card. But I love this deck. I just love this deck, which I've got upside down. If you watch my videos, you'll just see me constantly turning cards around. I just love it. There are very few cards in this deck that I do not like. Probably the only ones that I don't really enjoy too much are the ones with clowns in. I still keep thinking, Reese, why did you put clowns in this deck? But a lot of old images, I suppose, had them, didn't they? But they're such strong and powerful messages. I remember watching when Reese talked about this deck and how she created it. And she created this deck in the middle of the pandemic, the very first pandemic of COVID, when she was feeling fed up with life, I suppose. And she said it very much influenced her in the making of this deck. And you can feel that here. It is a pensive deck. You know, this is not a light and bright and breezy deck in the slightest. This is full of deep and dark emotions, and I love it. I absolutely love it. You know, look at this Nine of Swords. It's like he's almost having a fit there, isn't he, laying on this mattress. And this one, the Three of Swords, I think this is one of the most difficult Three of Swords cards I have ever seen. You know, this fat little baby here, this chubby little baby that has got hold of a little bird, a little sparrow or something, and you can see he's pulling its leg, and it's, you know how children do, they can hurt animals without knowing it, can't they, because they don't have enough control to hold them lightly, you know, not to grasp them. And you're always left with this card of wondering, does this baby know that it's hurting the bird, or is it quite innocent? Oh, I don't know. I just absolutely love it. I love the blackness of the background. Look at this Judgment card. You can see the suffering in people in this deck as well, I think. I mean, look at this, the Ace of Swords. The reluctant fool. This beautiful Two of Cups, like father and son here. It's just lovely. It is lovely. Considering it's a deep, dark, thoughtful deck, it is lovely, I think, anyway. But that might just be me. The next deck I've got here, and this, you know, this is my top 10 most used decks, so I have to include this here, even though you probably all have this deck even, don't you? You know, but it's the Centennial Smith-Waite Tarot deck in a tin. And this one has just become my favourite because it's small and in a tin. I think that is literally the only reason, because up until I bought this earlier in the year, I'd been using my Radiant Wise, and is it Radiant Wise Spirit RWS, which is a beautiful deck. It's a borderless, you know, really colourful, bright RWS is gorgeous, but they're much bigger cards. And I think I'm finding these days, as my practice and my interest in tarot just grows and grows, that I'm experimenting with different cards a lot of the time. I'm not going back to these traditional cards quite so much, and I'm using these much more as clarifying cards, I suppose. So, you know, if I've got a spread on the table, if there's any cards that are confusing or I want more information with, I will pull one of these little RWS cards just to clarify, really. I think that's why I like them so much. I do, you know, some decks, when they're the little mini ones in tins, are too small, and some are just perfect, and this one is perfect. I love the tin. I love everything about it. The next deck I've got here, and I have used this a lot. You might not have seen it on my channel a lot, but I have used this myself an awful lot. And it is the Citadel Fantasy Oracle by Fez Inkwright, and it comes in this fantastic box, which I love. with this really nice little book and these really cute little cards, which I keep meaning to edge, but I sort of haven't got around to it. I'm a big fan of archetypes. I think I've got 3 other archetype decks, plus this one. And I think this deck was kind of designed that it could be used as like a fantasy playing cards game as well, or a storytelling deck. I don't use it in any of those ways. I use it as to accompany my tarot readings, and sometimes just to do a spread just using these cards. I just love them. They're beautiful. I love all the coppery bits on the cards with the black, and they're just beautiful, aren't they? I find that the guidebook works really well with these, the little spreads in the guidebook. It all works really, really well. So I can imagine I will continue to use these. They're very, very relatable, I think. Very relatable. So yeah, the Citadel Fantasy Oracle. I'm going to get that back in there without bending the cards. I do very much like these. I wish that that many other decks would come in these kind of arrangements with a little bit at the bottom. I just think they store really nicely. I just really like them. What have I got left? I've got 3 decks left. Let's get those. So the next one this is a fairly recent purchase, but I have used it an awful lot since it came. This is the Ter Len Norand. And I've got 3 or 4 Lenormand decks. But this one, I think, where are the cards? The explanation cards. You get these little reference cards that come with the deck, which I took out of the packet because I've just been trying to learn the meanings and the positive and negative aspects of them. But you get 3 of these little reference cards that give you a few keywords and the positive, neutral or negative aspects of them, which I really like. And the cards themselves are beautiful. They are definitely my most beautiful Lenormand deck that I have. Some of them, you know, they'll have a big bit in the corner of like the playing card, and sometimes they can be confusing, Lenormand cards. I struggle to zone in on what I'm actually looking at. And these are just simple and beautiful. I mean, look at this clover, the 4-leaf clover. That to me is just beautiful. I love the greens of it. I think that's what I like so much. I mean, there's a fair bit of sort of folk arty type stuff here on the cards, but I think what I really, really love about this card is the nature images on here. I mean, look at this, the mice with they look like echinaceas, don't they? And bits of oats or wheat or something there, but wildflowers, poppies maybe. Just absolutely beautiful. The dog there. Aren't they lovely? As little works of art in themselves, they are just gorgeous. And like I said, they're just simple, and I think they've really helped me to get a good grasp of Lenormand. Yeah, so that's them. Let's see, that's all of them, isn't it? There we go. Beautiful, beautiful little cards. Really, really pleased with those. Put that back over there. In fact, I think it would be true to say that I have used this deck almost every day since I've had it, since, I don't know, September time. Now I've got 2 decks left. This next deck is going to be no surprise to anybody. You must have seen me get this deck out a million times. The Tarot of the Abyss by Anna Torian, and it is my favourite of favourites. I've edged it in black. I just almost don't have the words, really. I just think it's so clever. I love that for the 3 of Swords and the 10 of Swords, she's got 2 different depictions. One that's slightly more traditional and painful, and one that offers a different viewpoint, you know, something a bit more hopeful, something slightly different. I've got some real favourites of cards in this deck. I really love the court cards. You can really see the progression through the court cards, like, you know, with the Page of Cups, you see the young sailor just getting his map out and he's just starting to look and learn. And then with the Knight of Cups, you see him climbing the sails and starting to take mastery of the ship. And, you know, there is a story to be had in this deck. I just love it. And again, I was not sure how I was going to get on with it because I love colourful decks. But this really just doesn't need to be. It's emotional, it's intuitive. The guidebook is fantastic. Every card I look at just leaves me with questions. You know, when you look at the 4 of Swords here, you're kind of thinking, well, has the battle begun? Is it over? Who's over the other side of the wall? Are they alive? Are they dead? You know, what happened? What happened? I just love it. Even cards that I know other people are not so keen on. Let me see if I can find it quickly. I mean, who would not like the Justice card for a start? But yeah, this one, I've heard people say they don't much like this as the Lovers card because, you know, the trees kind of, they might even look dead. But I don't think that they are. You know, this might be a winter scene, mightn't it, where all the leaves have dropped off the trees. But, you know, the message here is so strong. You know, the roots go so far into the ground, everything's tangled and twisted together, the trees have grown together, and it's that interconnectedness, isn't it, of the lovers' relationship. You know, I just love it. I love it. So yeah, the Tarot of the Abyss. I can't see how it would fall out of favour with me. I just can't see how it would. And the last deck that I've got to show you is in this tin, and it is by the Art Occultist, and it is her deck, I think, that she based on sort of Aphrodite. It's very pre-Raphaelite in its imagery, which I obviously love. Well, what have I done here? There we go, that's better. I don't know how my deck's getting such a mess. Look at the beautiful backs. I would love to edge these, but I just don't dare. The cards are so beautiful. It came from makeplayingcards.com. And I think this was earlier in the year, this was released. And again, I love everything about it. This is in my top 10 of decks for sure. Maybe even my top 5 of decks. I don't know. But I love everything about it. I love the romance of it, the beauty of this deck. It's very, very intuitive. There's so many pre-Raphaelite paintings here that I recognise, that I love. It's just absolutely gorgeous. That's a really clever card for the devil, isn't it? The lovers, Circe and is it Circe and Vidiosa? That painting by Waterhouse for the Ace of Cups. Really clever. Aren't they beautiful? Look at the beautiful green in this. This lovely water. These are Waterhouse paintings as well, I'm pretty sure. Really intuitive. She did such a good job with this deck. You know, considering these are all old original paintings, she's picked so brilliantly. They go so well. I mean, look at that card. That's a really difficult card, isn't it? You know, is this a person's suicide note? I'm not sure. It's not obvious, is it? Could be ink here. Might not be. Lady Godiva, is that? I think, maybe. Look at the mermaid, the Queen of Cups. Just lovely, 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 lovely. The Fool. So gorgeous. So, 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 so gorgeous. Yeah. So there we go. That is my 10 most used decks of 2023. I hope they continue to be well used. I hope they continue to be well loved. It'll be interesting to see what I come up with at the end of 2024, won't it? But anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching that. And if you've got any of these decks and you like them or you don't like them, I would love to hear from you. And much love to all of you, and I'll see you all again soon.